Deftones, The Boys Republic, Guitar Tabs and Guitar Lesson, Standard Tuning Method. I'm going to play all the parts right at the beginning. After that, I'll go back through with the full explanation for everything. Please hit that subscription button. It's the best way to let me know you like this video and want to see more Deftones stuff like this. And now, let's give it a try. Okay, so just to reiterate, this is a standard tuning method for this song. This is on the White Pony album, so they typically would be in their drop C tunings. I think we can get through this pretty well without a whole lot of compromise or sacrifice, just in a standard tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E. It's basically we're just having to make a compounded C5 power chord with what we got here instead of having the big open low C power chord. And that's really the only kind of sacrifice. Everything else we can hit pretty well. So this initial section here, the intro, it could be a little tough to hear. It's kind of muffled and like a weird tone like in the beginning, but this is also a section that happens in the first part of the bridge. And it's just this fun kind of like picking with some hammer-on pull-off stuff. We want to hit a C bass note here, so we're just doing a 3 on the A. Hit it, hold it a moment, then we'll drop down, hit the 5 on the D. Alright, and then we do this bit where we go a little hammer-on pull-off from the 5, 6, 5 on the D, and do that twice. Alright, and that's the first half. The second half, we go back to our C bass note. We kind of shift positions here because we need this down low. We'll hit that 3 again on the A. Hit the 1 on the D. Alright, and then we do the same kind of hammer-on pull-off style, but we bump it up to the 2 on the D, and we go 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. And we just toggle between those two different sections. Alright, so now into the second part of the intro. This is also like the chorus progression. And as I mentioned, coming off of that big open low C, drop tune power chord, that's where we're going to have to be compromising a bit here. So we want a really big C power chord, and just to compensate and add some more, low end to it, we'll compound that here by doing, our basic C power chord of the 3A with the 5 on the D and G. But even to give it more kind of fat low end, just to, compensate for that lack of drop C tuning, just go ahead and add the 3 on the E with it. So we get that extra low G octave just to make it bigger. So instead of, we get just kind of fatten it out a bit. All right, and so that's what we'll be using for our substitute there for the drop open low C. So what we want to do is just hit that twice, where we have the 3 on the E and A and the 5 on the D and G, just double in octaves there, and just hit it a couple twice. And then you want to come up and just hit a C power chord by itself. And I kind of like to change the spot on it instead of just dropping down and hitting it there, because we're kind of using that part of the chord anyway. So we want it to sound a little different, like we're just only hitting that C power chord. So we're going from a quote unquote lower octave to the higher octave, the C. So we would want to come up to 8 on the E with the 10s on the A and D here. So we went. Okay, it really makes it a distinct just C by itself. And we hit that, kind of hold it a moment, then we'll drop down and we'll strum on a few F power chords, just here at the 1 E with the 3 on the A and D. Right, and then we'll just kind of slide it up to A power chord at the 5 E with the 7 on the A and D. And just loop that whole thing. For the verse section, it's almost like we just kind of do the first half of the chorus, and maybe not quite as dynamic. We're just a little, mellow, chiller with it. So, we're hitting our same compounded C chord here, the 3s with the 5s. Come on up, hit that 8 and 10s for a couple. And then just down to the F for 4 strums. Pre-chorus section, we hit this interesting sounding, it's like an E flat major 7, and we'll compound that as well just to make it sound bigger. And so basically we want to hit the 6 on the A, the 8 on the D, and then we throw in this 7 on the G for that major 7 vibe. All right, and that's kind of just faint in the background there. And just to make it even bigger sounding, go ahead and throw the 6 on the E on there with it. All right, and with this one, we're strumming it out about, six times or so. And then we just drop down and do a couple of those compounded C power chords at the 3s and 5s here for a couple. And just loop that. And then eventually we would get to our bridge section, which the first section of it is, what I showed you in the intro there. You maybe throw a little more overdrive on it, be a little more, abrupt and loud with it. But the second part of the bridge, kind of a new thing, we're doing kind of a couple of big dynamic strums on that low C power chord here, the 3s with the 5s. It's just a couple hits there. And then we come up and do this octave bit where we got an A and a G string octave here. So we do the 7 on the A, 9 on the G for the E octave here, and it's just strumming this out. Okay. Okay, and we're just alternating between these big C power chord strums, and then we'll shift the octave. Okay, so we went from 7 and 9. Second time through, we hit the 10 and 12. Okay, back down to our power chords for a couple. Up to the 11 and 13. Back down for a couple, and then finish at the 8 and 10. Now for the outro. It's basically, the outro chorus, so our typical chorus, and then we just kind of alternate with this variant section where, we're going to mix in some more of those octave things. And so we do our couple big low C here, and then we'll jump up and hit that 8 and 10 for that higher C. All right, and then we just kind of hit it once, and then we'll drop down and hit our 7 and 9 octave on the A and G. Okay, back to the low C to high C. All right, and now we do this little walk down where it's that A and G octaves where we go 11 and 13, 10 and 12, and then 8 and 10. there, and then we would do the chorus as usual, and then, back to this variant version again. And for the ending here, we just get some of these octaves just by themselves, just kind of working our way up the scale here. So we just hit the 7 and 9. All right, then we do the 10 and 12, 11, 13, down to the 8 and 10, and then finish at the C octave at the 3A, 5 on the G. And we're kind of holding that, and then we just kind of get dissonant with it and just drop it down to the 2 and 4 at the very end.